going? I'm good, man. It's good to see you. It's been a long time.
I know. We just have to get in the studio together and go for a nice beer and go to that Whole Foods shop and just buy loads of like nice snacks.
100%. That's it. Turmeric and honey, always bringing the goods, you know.
Oh yeah. Good morning. Hello everyone who's joined. Thanks so much for joining us. I am Natalie McCool and I'm a singer, songwriter and artist, and I run a podcast called McCool and the Gang, which is officially, yes, it's the best name possible, thank you. And it's a podcast about music industry, so I speak to loads of different artists and writers and all types of different people and creatives. And today we have the wonderful Afnan Prince. Woo!
Yo.
How's it hanging?
Thank you so much for having me, man. Yeah,
No
good,
props.
good. I'm just like chilling. Was looking forward to this. Thank you for asking me to come on and have a little chat with you.
No problem at all. What have you been up to recently?
So we've been playing shows. It's festival season, as you know. So we've just been playing festivals with them. So I sing and I write for a band called Future Humans. That's kind of how we met, wasn't it? In a writing session together for like we did some stuff for you initially, and then we did some of our stuff, and then we ended up releasing one of the songs, didn't we? Which was freaking sick. But yeah, so we've just been busy with that, and then we've been in rehearsals as well because we've got Reeperbahn Festival coming up.
Yes, I saw. Amazing. Which
is going to be so much fun.
Awesome.
It's the first time we're heading out to Germany, so yeah.
Yes, it's so exciting. Germany is amazing as well, and like I've heard such good things about Reeperbahn. Like my manager's always going, "Must get to Reeperbahn. It's just so amazing." So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's good
isn't
old
it?
John Sweeney coming through again. Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, what a legend!
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man.
Well, that's going to be really fun.
It is. I'm really looking forward to it. Like, it's one of those where, you know, Germany was like the first kind of market which really responded to the music that we were putting out, and like, you know, especially on like a bigger scale, and like that's where we were playlisted first and things like that as well. So it was really, really cool, and you know, that's some of the OG people who've been following the project. So it's gonna be really cool to play some shows for them.
Yes, they're gonna love you. So just to go back a little bit. So you sing and write and perform in a band called Future Humans,
yes.
Which we've written together in various like ways, but we had a writing session. It was pretty random actually, and we wrote a track called Infinity Over, which you released as Future Humans, which was amazing, and you should all go and listen to it because it's an absolute banging track. But I just wanted to kind of go through your story and how did you kind of get started within your musical journey?
So that's an age-old tale. So I used to play cricket at a very high level. I used to do all sorts of sports like rugby, football, and all of that. Yeah, like national level. Yeah, that was my career path for a while. And then I got injured, and I just like was like, oh, what do I do now? And I'd also kind of like burned myself out of that. And it was right around that age where, you know, you're trying to find out what differentiates you as a human being when you're not the cool kid at school. And me and my like nerdy friends were like, well, yeah, let's start a band, dude. Let's do that. And then yeah. So we started a band, and then I was like, oh, shotgun lead singer, and like I was able to mimic sounds easily. So like, you know, some of the really great singers that I used to listen to, like Chris Cornell, you know, like Brandon Boyd and people like that. And I was like, oh, wait, I can kind of sing this stuff.
Yes.
So then I got obsessed with it, and like we started playing our first shows, and and then I didn't really start to take it seriously until like kind of university time, where I started a different band, like a two-piece, and we did lots of shows and tours and stuff, and then that disbanded, and then I was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go solo. I'm gonna just be like the solo artist, man, and write loads of music, and I did, and then I met Sam in a writing session, and then I was like, well, this is just too good to be true.
He's a legend.
He's honestly one of my favorite people in the entire world. He's just such I mean, you've worked with him plenty. Like, what he can do production-wise is nothing short of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And he's just a cool dude. And, you know...
He's hilarious as well. He's like the funniest
this is it. He's such a funny dude. And, like, we met in this writing session where it was like... You know, it was very like pretty boy writer kind of thing. And we are not that. Like, we don't like, pretend to be that. And I was like, oh, dude, you totally like metal, don't you? I can tell you like metal and emo and like hardcore and stuff. And then like he was like, yeah, do you? I was like, oh my god, yeah. And then we had a session after that, just me and him, and the chemistry was just, you know, it speaks for itself. We write everything in 12 hours or less, from like nothing to polished demo, with every tune that we've done and every tune that we do, when we've never steered away from that. And I think we're something like 60, 70 tracks deep now. So yeah, it's lots of stuff.
Yeah. I was talking about this yesterday. I did this panel for a venue in the Northwest called Future Yard, which is an amazing venue in Birkenhead, and they run a program for like young artists and get loads of people in to chat about different areas of the industry. And they had me in chatting about songwriting and writing camps, and I was talking about, like, you know, when you do writing camps, you don't know who you're going to meet, and they're so brilliant for everyone comes in on a level playing field, and everyone's kind of there to service the songs that you're going to write. And there's kind of a beautiful kind of moment happens where no one has an ego, everyone's just in the room doing it, and that's why I love them. But yeah, you never know who you're going to meet. And I met Sam at a writing camp in Nashville, of all places, and I've never laughed so hard during a writing session. Like, it was, you know, when you just meet someone who's like instantly just click. He's a legend. Sam, for anyone who doesn't kind of know what we're on about, Sam is a producer that we both work with, and he's a pretty amazing producer. Sam Kramer, I never know how to say his name.
Sam Kramer.
Sam Kramer, if you want to check him out, he's boss. But yeah, so when you kind of met Sam via that writing session, did you have an idea? Because Future Humans, to me, it's very, it's really contemporary. Sam says, just realised I'm on Future Humans account, but it is me, Sam. But it me, Sam.
Oh, but it me, Sam, yeah.
Hello, Sam.
Hey, dude.
Hello.
We love you, brother.
Yay, give
Such
it
a
a
ledge.
follow. What was I saying? Yeah, and the music Future Humans is so contemporary, and there's a bit of pop and a bit of indie, but you can tell that there's very much that kind of old school kind of emo heavier vibe, but it's brilliant. And you know, if you love it, then you definitely should put it in. And I'm just wondering, was that the catalyst for Future Humans, then meeting Sam, and then it went from there?
Well, it was kind of, it was like a beautifully organic thing. So like, it wasn't so much like, we never said to ourselves, okay, we have to sound like this. We just started making music, and that's just our influences and patterns came through just with that. And I think that's kind of the best way to do it, because obviously writing to brief is a totally different thing, but when you have the freedom to be able to approach creativity from like a completely neutral standpoint and just explore for the sake of exploring, and you know, you're given kind of freedom to share your truth in that regard, I think that's when some of the best stuff happens. And that's what I get with Sam, you know. And like, there's a trust between us. Like, by the way, what are the language barriers on your podcast? Can I swear?
Oh, you can swear your heart away,
right.
To your heart's extent, to your fucking heart's extent.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, like, you know, if something's not necessarily shit or anything, but like if something isn't as good as it can be, both of us are very quick to be like, that needs to be better, that can't be better, we can do something else there, you know. And it takes a real respect and a real kind of mutual adoration of each other's craft to be able to do that. Because again, like, you know, the whole point is to leave the ego at the door. I don't think ego has a place in songwriting, and like, you know, it has some place in life, you know, because it keeps you in check and etc. as well, and like keeps you accountable too. But especially not in creative situations, not in the room when you're all trying to like work together. That's silly. But yeah, I
always have like a phrase for when I'm in like co-writing sessions, like the song is king, The song
absolutely.
is king.
Absolutely.
And everyone else
Absolutely.
can piss off with your ego. Like,
Yep.
it's not about that. The song is the thing. But yeah, totally
It
get
always
that.
has to be. And it's like, and you know, and like every time we've written together, it's always been that, like, because like I love your work. I think you're so talented.
Thank you.
Like as a writer and as a performer, and like your voice, everything. So when we came to write together, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a blast, and it helps that we get on so well as well, because it just makes it so much more fun.
Yeah.
And with Infinity Over, I think, because you were just doing some production note stuff, weren't you, with
I was
Sam?
basically shadowing Sam, who is, again, legendary producer, and just learning about production, really. And then you were in the studio, you had a session, and then we just kind of wrote the song. We just like...
We did, because I think we
song.
just finished a mix of something that we were going to put out, and then we were like, oh my god, let's go get some noodles.
Yeah,
and then let's just write a
I
song.
remember the noodles. Yeah, the noodles were a heavy part of this. Yeah, and it was just so lush straight away with the kind of that arpeggiated kind of. If you haven't, Infinity Over, go and listen to it, and then you'll know what we're on about. The intro is this beautiful arpeggiated kind of ninths kind of bittersweet nice thing, and it's so nice, like so lush to write melodies over that. And I think we were talking about all of our kind of teenage favourite bands and like Funeral for a Friend, and we were listening to a lot of Deftones, and we were just like, yes, this is giving me life. And then we were like, yeah, let's write it.
Honestly, it was so fun. That's still one of my favourite sessions today. Just because of the vibe in the room, and like, you know, and the song that came out as a result, and like, you know, and it became a catalyst to create this visual piece as well, which was like really, really fun to do. Well, maybe not so much fun
because you were
to do at the time.
drenched. You had the
I was in a lake. I
beautiful,
ended up in. Thank you. Yeah, I ended up in a freezing lake, on the top of some very, very big hills on a very cold day. And I was in a water tank for like a day as well. So like, it's really hard to mime in a water tank, by the way.
Yeah, because the music sounds like quite fuzzy from the water, doesn't it? Well, you did. I mean,
yeah.
it. We suffer for our art, don't we?
We do. We do.
But no one else is suffering but you and I. Like, where's the rest of the band in the water tank?
We do what we gotta do, yeah.
Sam, you get in here, do some miming. My God. Yeah. No, it looks brilliant. Where was it filmed, the video?
All over. So like we did, again, don't want to give away too much of the secrets. If people know their geography, they can kind of figure it out.
Right.
But there were a few different locations, and like, you know, the idea of it was to like have those pocket dimensions where, like, you know, the characters that we created in that song can meet and exist. That's the only place that they can exist. So yeah, they were filmed in pocket dimensions.
Sam wants you to say it was filmed in New Zealand.
It was filmed in New Zealand.
That's because he's just obsessed with Lord of the Rings or something.
Yeah, but he should be, to be honest.
Because it's amazing.
Because it's incredible. Extended series on nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree. I watched it in one day once. It was a marathon.
Oh, it's the only way to do it. That you do it with
snacks.
Like, what's the prequel? Well, yeah, you got to do it with the friends. What's the prequel again? The Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
Watch The Hobbit, and then you move through to Lord of the Rings, and you watch it all through, and it's just so good.
Yeah. By the end of it, like, you've heard my Gollum impression, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah,
I have. Yeah. I believe we had a Gollum off at one point, which was quite good. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Why didn't we?
Master.
Master. Why didn't we like put it like really quietly in the song? Why didn't we do that?
Do you think it's like a singer thing to like do impressions?
You know, I always say this. It must be. It has to be, because everyone's like, "Why are you so good at doing stupid voices?" And I'm like, it must be because I spend my life like listening to voices and
yeah, that's it.
Practicing voice. I agree. Yeah, I think it must be. Have you ever met any other singers who can do good impressions then?
Most of them, to be
Most
honest.
of them.
Everybody has like, most singers I've met have got like one really like nailed impression.
Okay.
And then there's some enigmatic individuals who have got like 3 or 4.
Okay, yeah.
And that's always fun to see them like go in and out of it and stuff.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how often did you try and sound like Jeff Buckley when you were listening to Grace? Because personally, I do it every single time. I'm like, I wish I could sound like Jeff Buckley, like all of his inflections.
It's tough, isn't it? Because like his little, the thing is, because I don't know how much you know about Jeff Buckley, but like I was like obsessed with, but he was really into a guy called Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, who is a Qawwali singer, and like that's like a kind of spiritual music practice based in Sufism, and so a lot of the inflections that he gets are from people like Nina Simone and like and like people like Nusrat. I think he said something like, he's my Elvis. You know, he knows all the facts about him, and he knows like his birthday, what his nickname was as a kid, and all of that stuff. So, and that's kind of part of my heritage and stuff, and like part of the music that like, you know, I got from my mum's side. So it was very natural for me to like mimic that, and like those inflections and stuff came very naturally to me as well. But like, yeah, going back to what you were saying, it's like it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Because it's so pleasing to the ear, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so satisfying, and it's so... I mean, there's so... Like, I just can't hear those songs sung by anyone else.
No.
Yeah. Did you know that I... so the man who wrote the guitar parts for the album Grace, most of them... He played a gig in Liverpool, and I sang 2 Jeff Buckley songs with him.
Stop it.
Yeah, and he okay, not to brag, but I'm gonna brag.
This is incredible. Tell me the story, start to finish.
So it's the guitarist that Jeff worked with, and he gave Jeff a lot of kind of guitar lines on, like, recorded, like demoed, and Jeff basically wrote Grace and Mojo Pin off the back of the, you know, the that's all this guitarist.
Oh my god.
And he still plays, and he still kind of goes around and tours. And when he was playing Liverpool, I got a call from someone I know who ran a video company, and they were filming him playing, and they said, we really need someone to come and sing Grace and Mojo Pin. Are you interested? And I was like, are you joking?
Completely.
Are you joking?
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I went down and I kind of had a few run throughs with him, and then it was go time. So there's like a session online on YouTube of us playing, and then
you know that I'm gonna like dig this out straight away, right?
You. And then he came.
Please do.
Yeah, and then he was doing a gig, I think, a couple of days later, and he was like, "So Natalie, do you wanna sing?" And I was like, "Fuck yes." And it was beautiful. Like I nearly cried. I was so awkward, but it was wonderful, like being with him on stage. And then afterwards, he was like, the connection that Jeff would have had to those melodies, no one has ever come close to that but you. And I was like,
wow, that's high praise indeed.
That's because I love them. Like, I just love them.
That's it.
They're part of my musical history. Like, grew up listening to them. They've just influenced my entire, you know. So yeah, it's just incredible.
Honestly, I would love to see that. I think it'd be so cool to witness that, because like, again, I didn't realize you were, you know, that Jeff Buckley's music had been such an influence on you.
Yeah.
But now that I know that, it makes complete sense, you know, listening to some of the like melodic choices and undertakings in your music, and like where you go naturally, like you can hear that that's like, because it's that haunting place. Like, you know, there are certain, I always think, you know, with certain singers and stuff as well, there are just certain places in their voices where, you know, that's money. Like, that's like, oh my god, that's like the magic.
Yeah, he's
right there.
You can. I think you can tell. You can really tell
Yeah.
And one of my other like big influences, PJ Harvey, and I can tell when people are influenced by her as well. It's just like beautiful to hear, because obviously I've got such a connection. But yeah, check it out. I'll send you it.
Please do.
But yeah, I was wondering, like initial experiences of the music industry. Like, what was your first studio experience like? What was your first co-write like? Was it anything like you imagined it would be, or
so first proper studio experience was like when I was just like starting to record songs and like get demos together and stuff, and it was like I think just after so I like did some home recordings of like proper bootleggy stuff of like that band at uni and stuff, and we started just like playing everywhere and like doing a lot of different things. But when I trained in acting as well, like, and I trained in like theatre and musical theatre, and I did that for a long time, and I ended up doing this TV show which was like on ITV and stuff, and it was like one of them like, you know, Afnan Iftikhar, like all of these like silly things.
Cool.
And when I came back off that, one of my first things was I had a meeting with IE Music to just like chat as like a songwriter and stuff. And yeah, like it was one of those situations where like it didn't feel serious. Like it felt like just a kind of formality thing. And I was like, oh, you know, IE Music, they've got Robbie, they've got like all of that kind of stuff. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then I just thought of like, I started just writing music and busking. So I started busking like full time around the UK for like a year, which was really interesting because I think it's like a very visceral way to connect with an audience.
Yeah.
And I met like a lot of different people through that, and the guy who I met Sam through, that's how I met him. And then you know, we had like a few like studio sessions and stuff and whatnot, and like we started recording a few things, but like what I would consider like my kind of like maturing in music and stuff came with meeting Sam. Like just before I met Sam, I felt like I was at that place where like I was writing stuff that I was like really proud of and stuff. And then when we started working together, that just went up to another level again, and yeah, I think we really like just brought the best out in each other. And then yeah, and it's all, and like every session we've done with other people and stuff like that as well, you know, including yourself, it's always just been a vibe. So I feel very privileged and lucky that all the sessions I've done have been really chill. I did one like songwriting retreat thing, which wasn't professional. It's like it was like half professional, half like not.
Yeah.
And that was a very different experience.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot more of that ego in the room thing there.
Oh, right. Wow.
And like, yeah, no, honestly, like it's funny because like I think everyone's trying to prove themselves, where you know you just let your work do the talking and you enjoy your time there. I think that's kind of key to it. But again, I think that comes with experience as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just talking about co-writing, I really hated my first co-write session, but now absolutely adore them. And it's mad how like one experience can just tarnish it so much. And I was so nervous going into it, and I just didn't know what to expect. But yeah, it's lucky like the people you meet through them, and like through other musical work that you do. It's so lucky to meet people that you get on with, and it's really important when you make music as well. So I definitely
completely. Like, you know, going back to what you're saying of like, you know, that one experience. Like I remember like in that like that retreat thing that like you know, you were given feedback by like these like people and stuff, and like this one guy said that, you know, like, oh, it's really cool, it's like, you know, like your lyrics are very like in that world of like Bright Eyes and Nick Drake and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of like I take the lyric stuff seriously, you know, like I take the songwriting aspect of it very seriously. Not that like not in a way that like, you know, that's like, oh, this is my like child going out into the world kind of thing. No, like once it's done, it's out. But I think you have to give it respect. And then like I believe he said something to the thing of like, oh yeah, that's never going to work in pop music. And I was like, it will.
Says who?
100%. Yeah,
Says
no, literally, like, and that's what I thought. I was just like, no, I'm not going to compromise on that, because that's me compromising on my integrity as a writer.
Yeah.
And my artistic vision. And
probably said
and,
the same thing to David Bowie and the Beatles and Kate Bush and all the legends that game changed the entire industry. So yeah,
that's it. How do you approach words?
How do I approach it? I'm very oh god, I like to just let it all hang out most of the time and just be totally honest. I've been writing some of the next album, and a lot of Memory Girl's quite nostalgic and looking back at past experiences and like very, very introspective and reflective. But the new stuff I've been writing is quite. I'm having an existential crisis, but it's quite funny, and I'm going to tell you about it, and we're going to laugh together.
Please do.
That's the vibe. So, one of the lyrics is like one of the songs about growing up. Like, depressed on the dance floor. What a place to be, full of it, feeling empty. It's just like that vibe. It's just, what is life? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love like humour within songwriting. That's why I just love Amy Winehouse so much, because she was so witty. And Alex Turner is same, just like amazing songwriters. If you can make people laugh with songs, like just doing it right. But what about you?
Similar to yourself, I think like truth has to be at the center of it. I think you got to write, like, even if you're writing fiction, you got to bring your truth to that fiction.
Yeah.
Because I used to pretty much only write about what I was experiencing to try and make sense of it, like on like a deeper emotional level and in that state. But like, kind of like as I grew up and as I became like more balanced in myself as a human being, I found kind of less of a need to express myself in that way, and more, and just I started to become more playful with it. And then it's like, and then you end up writing like funny-ish things and like cutting things, like I think there's a lyric in one of my one of the things off like the last EP, the song called Constant Fiction. It's like, sometimes I worry that we're moving too fast, but then I laugh because I know that this isn't going to last.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's pretty honest and pretty savage.
Yeah.
Like,
savage. It's all about being savage with everyone and yourself.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I think, if you can be brutal and if you can be like visceral in that, then it's going to connect. And I believe in like how, if you can, like with imagery in particular, if you can play with it and like find ways to say stuff that hasn't been done as much.
Yeah.
Everything's probably been done, but like an interpretation of it which is like fresh, then I think that's really cool and that's really clever.
Yeah.
So I always try and find like weird little similes and metaphors for things.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. Like, and do you always find as well, like, it really does take time and a lot of experimentation to find these things, and sometimes you're literally like banging your head, like trying different phrases and different like arrangements of the notes, and then suddenly you come upon it and you're like, okay, that is it. But it takes long, and I feel like a lot of pressure sometimes in writing sessions to get it done quick, because you're only there for like a certain amount of time. But these things, like, writing for labels at camps and things like that, like they want something that's never been said before. They want but it's like, dude, it's gonna take time, because look at the amount of songs in the world all saying the same thing. So give the art some credit. Come on.
Definitely. Do you know? I'll be honest with you. In that regard, like, especially over the past sort of few years, I have found it easier and easier to do that. Like, to get to that place. And I think a lot of it is down to getting your own mental blocks out of the way. That's why, the time limit thing that me and Sam do, it's really useful. What is it? I think you
did mention it when you were in the studio, but what is it?
Yeah, so everything like gets done in a 12-hour period.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, so like, start to finish, from like nothing to fully realized polished demo. 12 hours or less. And there's tracks that like are some of our favorite ones to like do live and put out there that we did in an hour and like just put it out there.
Oh, sometimes it happens that way. Like, absolutely.
But I just think I think there's especially with like, you know, people who really think about what they do and stuff, and people who really like are engrossed in that kind of intellectual back and forth and that push and yield with the content itself, that like I certainly used to get in my own way a lot. And like, you know, you start questioning whether like that's right, that's not, that's right, that's not. And then like if when you bring it down to like this, the simplest way of saying something, but like saying it with like a twist or whatever, then it just kind of seems to fall out. And like nothing can overshadow the truth of the matter. Like nothing can outshine that. I think that's kind of like where the heart of the song needs to sit.
Yeah.
And as long as you're hitting that, then the rest of it is kind of, you know, the clothes and the shoes on the track, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. You know what I've found myself doing recently, which has really helped me, thinking about the entire story of the song and what I'm not just writing random words here, like what am I actually trying to say? And you know when there's a line missing, or like there's like 2 lines of a pre-chorus that need to be there, and you're like, well, I don't know what the fuck to say. But it's like, well, what have I said here, and what have I said here, and how do we make that journey within those 2 lines, and how can it be succinct and totally explanatory? That has helped me so much, like thinking about the story of the song, and it's something I didn't used to do so much consciously, but now I've really started doing it, and honestly it's helped me so much. Do you have any kind of things that you've realised about the way you do it that you find easier, aside from the time limit?
Exactly what you're saying, narrative, like having like a definite journey through what you're trying to say is a good thing. And you know, it doesn't have to be linear, the narrative, it just has to exist. And you have to know what it is. So like, you know, you can do it like full Tarantino style, where you like ended up with that situation, you recall it like backwards or whatever, but like as long as you have an idea of the narrative itself, then like it becomes a lot easier to put the pieces together, because like at least you know what you're trying to fit into those lines. And again, it really, you know, it helps having Sam there to be brutal as well.
Always helps to have a brutal producer in the room.
Yeah, no, because he's just like...
he's going to make you laugh but stab you at the same time, you know?
Oh, 100%, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But like, he always says like, oh, it's really good, you know, and like, you're going to hate me for saying this, but it needs to be simpler. Make it simpler.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. I thought I had it, so let's do it. So I think that kind of helps as well. And then just like trust in yourself and trust in your art, and trust that like, you know, if it's connected enough with you in your internal state, and then it's like kind of projecting itself out intrinsically and extrinsically, then it will inevitably connect with somebody, you know what I mean? And that's worth it. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be a hit, because I think there's a lot of pressure put on like artists nowadays as well, just because of the sheer amount of content that's put out into the world. Not everything has to be a hit. You get to those by like writing, and if you put the pressure of like always having to write a number one, it's
going to sound the same as well back, like you won't have any variation within the songs.
Completely. And you know, I respect like bands and acts and artists who like do reinvent their sound and do like bring different elements through album to album, because then it shows they're not trying to repeat themselves. And I think that's a really, really important thing in terms of artistry. I always really struggle, and I'm sure like, hello doggy, that's my dogs in the background.
Hi Afnan's dog. So I always used to struggle with when you write 2 songs that you love and you think they are totally your artist project, but the production on them and the vibe of them, they sound quite different, and it's like, should they be on different albums? Should they be on different projects? Like, I'm not sure whether these 2 can exist on the same record. But everyone always says no, they can, because it's your voice, and your voice
precisely
is the thread through all of it.
Yeah.
And but sometimes when you're the person in the center, you just can't see that, because you know, you can't. It's hard, isn't it?
It is, you know. And again, you know, because being at the center of it is a very different experience to like having that objective view. So you kind of have to like
That's why you need,
see yourself from the outside.
You need people,
and you need people like a good team around you to go like, no, that works, or no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, the voice is always the thread, you know, because you know that's kind of part of the responsibility of like the front person, is to tell that story and you know be for all intents and purposes the face that tells that story, and you know like the soul at which that comes from. And you know that's always going to be the through line. It's always going to be like the words coming from the soul of the person who are presenting them.
Yeah.
And it can come in different packages, different worlds, different scenarios and stuff, but like if you deliver it with conviction and if you bring your truth to it, then of course it can sit on the same record.
Yeah. And sometimes like it could take a slightly different like maybe like removing some instruments or changing something slightly and then it works better. But you know that kind of frustration that you feel, it's like, oh, it's not gonna work, why doesn't it work? And it's like it will work, just maybe try a few things and don't beat yourself up so much, you know. Be kind.
Just find the vibe. Yeah,
be kind to yourself.
That's it. That's a hella important thing as well, because like, you know, like kindness to oneself and like, you know, that self-reflection and like taking time to allow yourself to create the work and be there is incredibly important, because again it's that whole thing of like, you know, we're in a very content based world now, you know, like TikTok has revolutionized things immensely, and there's a generation now which like has grown up never not having TikTok, you know, which is insane. So like their consumption habits
children.
are completely right. I remember knocking on doors, telling people we're meeting at this time, and then you know.
I remember that. Yeah.
But it's just changed the way like music is produced and content is produced and consumed, and like I think that can put a lot of pressure on artists as well, especially young artists, you know, who like blow up on TikTok like overnight, and then like the label expects them to like deliver X, Y, and Z at like a rapid speed, which like, you know, if you've not been doing this for like 10 plus years or whatever, then like it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. Oh, it's such. I've been thinking a lot about the music industry lately and how exhausting and actually quite disgusting it is. I that was one of my questions actually, because we're going to wrap this up shortly, but one final kind of question. I wondered what your take was on it. Obviously been in the industry for quite a number of years and done various projects and things like that. And what is the one thing that you would like to see a change in, like one area, like a big change?
So I want to see more female representation in general, in the music industry, and I want like that, because it, you know, obviously there is some work being done on that regard, but I think we have a long way to go. I think equal representation is a very, very important thing, and providing opportunities for people. I think once again we're moving towards a stage where, you know, the way things are done, like I think we're at like the crux of like a shifting time. So where once, you know, it was very much the label will make the connections with the fans, it's not really that case anymore. Like it's weird, like speaking of TikTok, like I started posting like these like chilled out metal covers, right?
Yes, I love them.
Then
everyone check them out,
man.
they're great.
So I made it like, because I'm so like I don't really get TikTok, but I put them on TikTok, and like I woke up this morning and like there's like over 250,000 views on one of them.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't understand it, but it's the power that is right there, like where you don't know what's going to connect, and if it does, then you like have an instant audience. I started with like 0 followers, and this morning I think I've got like 5K or something like that.
That's incredible.
And it's like continuing at that rate, which is really interesting as like a social experiment anyway. So and that's all because of like a System of a Down Aerials cover.
Do it.
So shout out to System of a Down. But like I think I want to see more of just like artists being able to engage with the fans directly, and like, you know, I want to see better shows, cooler shows. I want to see like just more opportunities for people to express themselves in ways which without the pressure of like having to create certain types of music or whatever. And I think that's why like there's a big resurgence in like punk and like rock music in particular now, is because people are very sick of that like super polished thing, and you know, they want that live element back. They want that, you know, that kind of almost human element to it back, which again, going full circle back to Jeff Buckley, he was the perfect example of that, where it was like, you know that he can do it. Like you can hear the quality in his voice. You can know that he can do it polished and perfect, but he plays in the moment. And that's one of the best things you can experience, being able to play in the moment in that situation. That's almost like, that's where it comes close to that Sufism and the mystic.
Yeah, that's great. Oh man, so much I wish. I agree with you. Like, yeah, more representation. Just labels, get the fuck out of everyone's faces. Just let us do it. Like,
let us just do it.
I don't know. Yeah, so much. I've got so much to say, but it's too much to go into.
Well,
right
tell me some of that stuff.
I've been reading a lot of articles on the kind of streaming model and, you know, the way recording contracts are set up. Obviously for this old physical distribution, and it's not like that anymore, and they're still taking the lion's share of the master. Why don't we own our masters? Like everyone hates on
insane.
Taylor Swift, but she actually stood up for herself, and she's one of the first people to do that. And now, you know, she owns her masters, and I think she owns a publisher as well. But
she does. She certainly does.
She is a fucking role model. Like we should be worshipping, like, because she's changed it now. So I just think, artists have so much power and leverage, like we actually do, and don't forget that. Don't be kind of, you know, crushed by the system or made to feel like, you know, oh, there's 100 other artists who could replace you. Well, actually, no, there isn't actually.
There's not.
Because why aren't you talking
there's
to
power
them?
in you. That's it, exactly.
But I don't know, like, and this is not necessarily from my personal experience, just things I've seen and heard, and I just think it needs a massive overhaul. It's not right the way it is. People aren't being paid properly for their work. People aren't being credited properly. It's just a mess. Not to go all downer on everyone, but it's a big issue for me, and you know, it's worth, like, it's a whole episode's worth of stuff. But
definitely, man.
But I mean, streaming is incredible, and I don't think it's like, it's small changes. It's, you know, it's just small changes that could make such a big difference.
I think so. It's just like giving the power back to the artist.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. And like, that's nothing but fair, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, I understand like the label are expanding the reach of the artist, but it's the artists themselves who are creating the product.
Yeah. We should own the lion's share.
There.
Like, we should own that. You know, I always say, kind of, in every other like industry, the person with the intellectual idea, property idea, is at the top of the pile. And all the service like, you know, say if you created Wetherspoons, like, you know, you have the pubs, then you have the waitresses and the bar people, and all of the service providers are lower down. But in the music industry, the intellectual property creators are at the bottom of the pile, and all the service providers are at the top. How does that even work? What is going on?
It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it like that. It's a very, very good way to put it into perspective, actually.
Yeah. It's just mental. It's just mad.
Let's make a change, man.
Let's make a change. Anyway, let's wrap it up. But what have you got going on? What have you got coming up? Where can we find you on social media? Please tell us.
Yeah. So we are playing Reaper Barn next on the 23rd. So that's going to be a nice little drive. And after that, we've got some shows to like announce and stuff this year. And we're also putting out the third EP.
Nice.
Which me and Sam pretty much wrote the last trip.
Nice.
Which is cool. So yeah, we're just going to go like straight after Reaperborn. I'm going to get back in the studio. We're going to finish those off and then just get them out there, man.
Yes.
Get them out there.
Amazing.
You can find us over at Future Humans IG. And then my personal one is at Afnan Prince. And Instagram's kind of probably where I'm most active. And then, yeah, apparently I'm on TikTok now as well. So like,
yes, so we must follow you
Afnan
there.
Prince within 3 for an E because Afnan Prince was already taken.
God
so
damn it.
God damn it.
He's not
took my
posting
name.
soft metalcore covers though, is he? Whoever
That's
that
it.
is. So he can fuck off.
Or she, because it's actually
she.
predominantly a female name.
Oh, is it? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
well, he or she can fuck off.
Exactly.
Or they. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you.
You too, man. Been a while.
I know. Thanks so much for coming on and having a chat. And hopefully we'll see you soon and we'll write some more tunes together.
Definitely.
Wonderful.
I'll text you some dates through that we're down next and we'll get something sorted.
Amazing. All right, well, have a good evening, and thanks everyone for tuning
too.
in. See you soon.
Peace. Oh, love.
Thanks so much for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and follow to this podcast. I'm Natalie McCool, and you can find me and my music on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and also on my website, nataliemccool.co.uk. Thanks!
And I'm a magnet too.